Hi, I'm Naomi Cecilia Tidball. I was born June 19, 1895, in Mapes, North Dakota. My father William Edwin Tidball was born in 1870, in Henley-on-Arden, England. My mother Manella Adeline Smith was born in 1874, in Iowa. When they married in 1894, my mother was 3 years younger than my father. Father homesteaded at Lakota, North Dakota, USA, in 1899. He left his farm for a short while, to take a look at Alberta, as he had ranching in mind at that time. After returning to his farm in North Dakota, it wasn't too long until he disposed of his farm there, and in the spring of 1901, he left the Dakotas, with his family and 2 cars of settlers' effects for Alberta. The mode of traveling was by train. We disembarked at Olds, Alberta. The traveling from Olds to the homestead was done by horse and wagon. I can well remember that on the way to the homestead, there were no fences, and the roads were just prairie trails, as far as you could see. In fact, all the way to the homestead, there was nothing but a sea of grass, then too, countless numbers of prairie chickens and fantails. The homestead was situated on the east bank of the Nehill Creek, approximately 2 miles west of the Bose homestead. The Bose homestead is now known as the Linden Home, which is 28 miles east and 2 miles north of Carstairs. Father was in the cattle, horse and sheep business quite extensively. During the time he was in the Linden area, which was 4 years. In those years the range was wide open, anyone could run cattle on the open range, and put up hay, just anywhere. One of the last years that rather was on the homestead, there was an epidemic of blackleg hit his cattle population and quite a number were lost, as at that time, the ranchers were not too familiar with the disease. In 1905 Father purchased the Albion livery stable, and of course the family were moved into Carstairs. I was the oldest and had to deal with my 5 brothers. My brother Edred was born in 1897. This was followed by my brothers Oliver in 1899, Thomas in 1900 and Albert in 1903. Finally, my youngest brother William was born in 1905. In my early school years I attended St. Hilda's School in Calgary, where I was on the girls' hockey team. In 1916 my brothers, Ed, Oliver, and Tom, joined His Majesty's forces, and went overseas. We all landed in Liverpool, England, the day after Christmas 1916. Tom was sent home on account of his age, being only 16 years old at that time. The rest were drafted to France, where they joined the 50th Battalion, 4th Division, 10th Brigade. Father was in France for about 8 months. As Father was 45 years of age at that time, he was unable to cope with the younger men, and he was sent home. Ed and Oliver were left, as they were tough and supposed to be able to take it. Ed was wounded at Canal du Nord and sent back to England about 6 weeks prior to the armistice. Oliver received a military medal and bar for his bravery, was sent home some time later on. My father became a colonel in the 15th Light Horse, after the First World War, and took an active interest in Army affairs until 1931. I married my sweetheart William Sylvester Keeley on August 23, 1916, at age 21 in Calgary. That day was unforgettable. He was born in 1891, in Railton, Ontario. He was 25 years old when we married, 4 years older than me. We had 6 adorable children: Margaret, Emily, James, William, Mary Lou, and Daniel. All our children were born in Alberta. We lived in Didsbury, Alberta from 1916 until opening a grocery business in Claresholm, Alberta. In 1925 and moved to Banff, where I taught music and played the piano for the silent movies. 1929 we moved our family to Nanton, Alberta, where we lived in the George Ferris house. This beautiful house was moved to Nanton from Lethbridge in 1918. The door knobs were cut glass and it was said they looked like big diamonds. Upon my husband's retirement in 1945 we moved to Calgary. William and I had 36 wonderful grandchildren. And many great-grandchildren. From our daughter Margaret, we had Margaret, Judith, Marion, Victor, Naomi, and Coleman. From our daughter Emily, we had Anne, Mary, James, Margaret, William, John, Elizabeth, Christopher, and Susan. We had John, Carolyn, Mary, and William from our son James. From our son William, we had Patrick, Susan, Judith, Nancy, Michael, James, and Kathleen. From our daughter Mary Lou, we had Margaret, Daniel, Constance, Karen, Paul, and Trudy. And last but not least, we had Christine, Ward, Deborah, and David from our son Daniel. I spent my final years living in Oyen, Alberta, near my daughter Mary Lou until May 24, 1985. I'm so glad I got to share my story with you. I hope you found this interesting. That's it for now.